Lizzie, can you believe that we're having this conversation?
No, I can't. I really
Oh
can't.
my goodness. Well, but this is a conversation that I think we both at some point knew we would have ultimately. So, why don't you start off by sharing with the ladies listening a little bit about how you found yourself on this journey and how we met?
Oh, it's a long story, but I'll keep it short. So I have a lovely 10-year-old daughter who I conceived very easily, like within a month of trying, which is absolutely wonderful. And my marriage ended and I got with my new partner quite a few years ago now. And we really wanted to complete our family by having another baby. We tried. I was very positive. I was all up for it. And we tried. And in a couple of months, we fell pregnant, which was amazing. But we lost the baby. We lost the baby at 10 weeks. And that was a massive blow. And before my first daughter, even though we conceived very easily, we'd had actually lost twins. So this was my second miscarriage that I'd had. So I had like miscarriage and then baby and then long gap and then miscarriage. And it just crumpled me. And I was like, right, there's something wrong. I don't understand what's going on. This is not just a fluke. Because the first time you have a miscarriage, it's all, oh, it's just a fluke. It's just chromosomes. Don't worry about it. Try again. It'll be fine. And I'd had one baby. So I thought, okay, this has got to be possible. And I was like, well, why is it happening? And, I know that so many poor women go through so many miscarriages before they start the research and start the sort of really looking into it. But I'm not like that. I'm your typical type A. I want to know what's going on. I want to find out the reason, because also the pain is unspeakable. I don't think there is any greater pain than losing your children, whatever stage of life they're at. And so I decided to sort of go off on this journey and to find out what was wrong with me. And I bought every book you could possibly imagine. And what I laugh about now is that when I first read those books, I was like, well, I read the book about nutrition and I read the bit about, exercise and yoga and what not to eat and what to wear and what not to put on your face and, what water to drink. But I don't need to do the bit about stress. I don't need to do about that because I'm fine, right? I'm fine. I don't need to worry about mindset or anything that's to do with psychology because, it's fine. I'm over the miscarriage. I'm over this. I'm totally fine. I'm happy. I've got a great life. No problem. Skip that chapter. When I look back in hindsight, it's because I didn't want to read it. And it's always the stuff you don't look at that's got the answer, isn't it? So I would skip all those chapters and read everything else. So I started doing everything religiously, like my fertility yoga and my acupuncture twice a week and drinking God knows what and eating God knows what and having tests, so many tests. Oh my goodness. I was literally paying through the nose. I was just shelling out money left, right, and centre, like anything that looked like it could work. Ashwagandha this and, drops here. And I have had womb massage for thousands of pounds because I was worried that scar tissue might be doing it. I looked into everything and I didn't look into mindset. And they got me nowhere. And a year and a half in, I was giving up hope. I was 41 by this point. I was with a fertility clinic and they were threatening me. They were going, right, if you do not feel pregnant in the next few months, 42, that is it. 42, you've got like a 2% chance. There is no way you're going to conceive naturally. So you've got X number of months. And so the pressure was just horrific because there was such an ache in my body for a second baby. I can't tell you. And I totally believe you when you say, Roseanne, that, that the need is there in you because it's what's meant to be. And it was a hunger. It was a hunger that nothing else would satisfy. And I was getting depressed and I was getting sad. And it'd been a year and a half and I was like, we're trying so hard. Oh my God, we tried so hard. We just like every position, like 50 times a night. I think we tried too hard, actually. We had a lot of fun. But then, of course, that got stressful. So it went from being this amazing, incredible thing to being something that was stressful and it was like, oh my God, it's ovulating. We have to, do it 500 times now. And it just became sad and my relationship suffered. And I was like, this has got to stop. This is horrible. But I could not stop the want. The want had just got more and more and more, the desire to have this baby. And I had been listening to your podcast, Roseanne, along with hundreds of other podcasts, I hasten to add, like loads. And I'd listened to all these women that you interviewed. I was like, yeah, right, it's a scam, total scam. She's probably paid them. There's no way they're real. How can you possibly do this by thinking yourself into it? What a load of rubbish. And I thought, oh my goodness, all that money? That's a total scam. I listened to it for a year. And I kick myself now, Roseanne. I absolutely kick myself. But I'm saying that because, do you know what? I'm sure there are other women out there thinking the same, and I want them to hear it. Ultimate skeptic here. And I listened. I thought, why do I keep going back to Roseanne's podcast? Why was I listening to it all the time on the way to work, on the way back? And, just after a year, I was like, oh, for God's sake, just do it. Just do it. Just look at how much it is. See what you can do. Now, at this point, I had totally wrapped up debt and, we were extending the mortgage. And I remember talking to you, Roseanne. I was like, I haven't got a penny to rub together because I'd spent it all on nutritionists and naturopaths and, yoga teachers and God, I had my blood analyzed. I'd had my genes analyzed. I'd just done everything that was physically possible to do. But you said a brilliant thing on your podcast, which is always about, it's not about what you can afford, it's about what you prioritize. And money's like energy. It flows in and it flows out, and I was working. I was like, right. So I talked to my wonderful family and they're like, yep, this is so important to complete the family. And so I took out another 2 credit cards. And do you know what? Best money I ever spent. And if only I had come to you first and done everything afterwards if I wanted to, I would be in a very different position financially. I'd be, but then I wouldn't have what I have now, which I wouldn't change a single thing. So that's how I came to you.
Well, you've dropped quite a few bombs there, Lizzie, and I think it's really interesting because, people. It is a sense of priority. We don't shame women for going out and, spending and investing in education, cars, homes, but something so primal and basic in our hearts, this desire for our children, gets shamed. It's treated as if you're going out and just investing frivolously with no plan. And it's like, how is that shameful when it's something so basic for our lives? And I think people get wrapped around the axle for, insane reasons. But in the end, anything that we're investing in having our families, there is a payoff. It's not like you're going to a casino in Monaco and shitting it all away, right? I mean, there is a very tangible result that you're going after. And you've probably heard me say this before, Lizzie, but it bears reinforcement here, is nothing is more expensive than regret.
Oh, and so true.
Yeah. And you, because you didn't fall into the low vibe story or allow your power to be taken away based on money, you're in a much different position today. So let's talk about this. So you were trying for a year and a half. You were doing the yoga. I love how you say you were being threatened by your fertility clinic that if you didn't hurry up and get pregnant by 42, essentially they're going to drop you.
Yeah.
So what is it? I mean, did you ever have a diagnosis? Did they tell you what was quote unquote wrong with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I did find the clinic in London were very good. They diagnosed me with an autoimmune condition that doesn't have a name, but what it does is I have a reaction to pregnancy. So my body sees it as a cancer growth. It's a growth that it's not genetically me, and it's growing too fast, out of control. So it shuts the blood supply out, around the uterus and basically kills the baby, thinking it's doing me a favor. So what was really interesting is I didn't need IVF. There was nothing wrong with the plumbing. There was no blockage. There was no physical reason why I needed IVF, but I had to get my body into check. So I did know that. But what was really interesting is that information was almost too overwhelming. I didn't know what to do with it. And it's so easy just to follow the white coats and just go, yes, I'll have IVF, or yes, I'll do this. And this is what they were threatening. They were saying, the only way, we think we're going to have to do donor eggs. There's no way, you're too old now, blah, blah, blah. And gosh, your program, which was life-changing on so many levels, not even just this. That's what's just so phenomenal about your program. But what was incredible is it made me the master of my own body, because no one knows your body like you do. And I knew what I needed. Yes, the diagnosis helped, but I knew what I needed. And after your program, after a year and a half being at this clinic, I walked into that clinic and I sat down with my fertility doctor and I said, I want this, I want this, I want this, and I don't want that. And I walked out, and in a month doing that routine, we were pregnant. First time. And to be fair, Roseanne, I knew that already. It's just you helped me connect with that.
Whoa. So you went basically, Lizzie, from feeling like it was all over, that there was no hope, being bullied into the idea of donor eggs, to shifting things around, and then being able to walk into that clinic in London and take control, and you're pregnant a month later.
Yeah. I was in floods of tears in the car before I went in. It was a complete mess. And then I just channeled you, and I walked in there, and I was calm, I was collected, and I just said, this is what I want. And the doctor just noticed the difference in me. And he didn't put up a fight. He wasn't like, you're 42, this will never work. It was all, okay, if this is what you want, we'll do it.
It's fascinating to me, Lizzie, how we as intelligent, educated women hand over our power and authority. And if we're not careful, we'll get bullied into doing something that isn't right for us.
Absolutely.
So what do you think was changing within you, though? Because it's really, people could blow this off and say, this doesn't make any sense. She just got lucky. She just had another IVF, and that's why it worked. Because, Lizzie's right. This is all a scam. I would love it if you would share what was different for you to make this really clear for the women listening, because a lot of women think, oh, I don't need this mindset shit. It's a waste of time. I'm just going to read, a blog post and maybe do a little meditation. And it's the same thing, but it's clearly not. So what was changing for you?
You gave me the trust back in my body. It wasn't that I didn't know myself. It wasn't that I'm not educated. I've always advocated for myself. I had lost trust in my body. I'm supposed to be feeling feminine and, voluptuous and sexy and, fertile. And I was feeling empty and dry and barren and all those horrible words. And I felt like a murderer. I remember saying this to you.
I remember that.
Yeah, I felt, because they really, when I heard the diagnosis, I realized I had killed my perfectly chromosomally normal baby myself. She was a little girl, so I found this out, and I couldn't get past that. It was like I was evil, and my body was this hideous thing that went out killing innocent, perfect, beautiful little babies. And that just broke my heart. My heart was broken. My heart was broken. I was in full-blown grief and I didn't know it. And I'd lost all trust in my body. I hated her. It was like, she kills babies. She kills, it's just, you can't even think of that. And I remember, it was so funny, our first session, group session, I said something, and it was the first time you'd ever spoken to me, and you just saw through all of my crap, and you just went, this is a matter of faith. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust your body. And it just shut me up, and that's quite hard to do. I was like, wow, this woman this woman is talented. I don't know what it is, Roseanne, but you just see the truth. You see through all the bullshit and all the bullshit we tell ourselves. You know, we've built these protective barriers up, and that was the turning point. I had to. It wasn't about doing more. It was about doing less. It was about falling in love with my body. It was about trusting the universe, trusting Gus, like you say, and not just trust. Trust is such a delicate thing. And for me, trust had been so smashed to smithereens. But it was almost getting beneath that trust to that sense of knowing, that innate sense of calm and peace. Because I don't believe babies exist on that driven plane when you're down and you're trying hard and you're pushing. And you know what? I've pushed hard all my life and succeeded. And I've never pushed hard and not got somewhere. I've worked so hard in my life to get everything that I wanted. But this is something you can't do that with. You have to be almost Zen-like. And one thing I will say for ladies out there, if you're considering, you're going, right, I really need to speak to Roseanne, which please do. Because I was just like you. I was like, oh, I'll just listen to it for a year and not do anything. But the group sessions are amazing, because there was a lady in our group session who fell pregnant, and we all commented how she felt. She was appearing so much softer, not hardened anymore. She was soft. And that was a real breakthrough for me, because I went, of course, it's not about being hard. I was so hard on myself. I was so hard on my body. I was so hard on everything. It was about joy and peace and calm. And she miscarried, but she kept that softness. And that was so beautiful. And I realized that I'd been looking for love in all the wrong places. And that was a massive breakthrough. So you helping me, not feel like a murderer. You slapped me out of that one pretty quick, which I was very grateful for.
And you were trying to get pregnant like a man, Lizzie. You were trying to get pregnant like a man.
I know. That was so awful looking back. You kind of cringe, but it's so true what you say. It's that feminine, that gentle, that softness. That's where it all is at. It's not in working hard and, wearing a hair shirt and not eating sugar and all those, really tough stuff that we do to ourselves. It's about love.
Well, and I think you're exactly right, because it's not like you have to give up the doer in you, right? Because you're a very successful professional in your own right. And it's not like you have to do this crazy pendulum swing. It's about learning to marshal the masculine and the feminine within you and use them, in a really smart way, because a lot of women get stuck in man mode.
Yeah.
And you were able to defy that.
Yeah. And I think also it's that's all stuff on the surface. It's all superficial. The real answers, there was lots of doing, but I wasn't connecting to the right doing. What it was that I needed to do. I was just doing everything. I didn't actually stop and connect. And you can't do that connect. You can't listen to that small voice. The truth is in silence, that tiny voice. It's not in all the noise around you. And you really helped me connect to that truth and give me the confidence to advocate for my own, give me agency back of my body and my mind and my intelligence. And then, I said, I want this, this, and this. And the doctor just looked at me and said, really? You think that'll work? And I was like, this is what I want to do. And I was like, right, let's do it. And a month later, we were pregnant. And she stuck. Yay!
She's stuck. And how old is she today?
She's 6 months today.
Oh my gosh. I can totally believe it, Lizzie, but it still blows my mind. You're yet more living proof. I tell women, I say, look, you can spend years in misery.
Yeah.
But what you do when you get your mind right, you're literally, it's like crushing space and time. You compress space and time because you are the common denominator. So when you get yourself straight, it's like you take the timeline and you completely shift it. But a lot of women don't really connect those dots, but you did, which is really fascinating. So, and now you have a 6-month-old daughter. And I bet, Lizzie, you don't think for a minute about the investments you made. You probably would have invested 10,000 times more to have this girl.
She is, God, yeah, there's this priceless. I have never been happier in my life. And I think, for all those lovely ladies out there, you are so brave, you are so strong, and I just pray that you have the reward, because it is worth all the heartache. And it's the most healing thing, holding this little creature that you've made finally. But you know what's just amazing is the work is not just about falling pregnant. Because when I fell pregnant, it was terrifying.
Let's talk about that. Yeah, let's talk about that, because most women think, oh, well, I just need to get pregnant and all of my problems go away. It's like, no, that's actually when your mind has to be the strongest.
You're so right. So I read your brilliant book, Phyllis Pregnancy. Another great call out for you. And yeah, it's where it's a long journey, and then they're born. And if your mind's not in the right place, that's terrifying too. There are scares in pregnancy. There are scares when they're little. I was told that my bump was way too big, and she might have this terrible thing where her esophagus was actually joined to her trachea. So her food would go into her lungs rather than her stomach, which is life-threatening. And they have to have surgery, like life-saving surgery in the first 24 hours. And there's only 2 people in the UK that do this surgery. I was like, whoa. But I didn't, because of your help. Again, I had my mind, so I was calm, and I made the right decisions. So we went privately at a horrific price. But I spoke to the surgeon, one of these 2 surgeons that do the surgery, and he's like, I'm on holiday. And I spoke to him, and he cancelled his holiday. It was so lovely. And he stuck around just to be there for Annabelle's birth, just in case she had this wrong with her. And so I was able to make the right decision to go, right, I can panic and I can dissolve into tears, or I can make the right decisions for me and my baby. And she was born. It was the most beautiful birth because I was calm. And it was I had a C-section before, because I can't give birth naturally, sadly. I had a C-section the first time, and it was horrible because I just had a meltdown. I couldn't hold my first baby. I just couldn't. It was just having a massive panic attack. It was just a horrible experience. This C-section, I was calm. It was like Circle of Life from The Lion King. My wonderful obstetrician lifted Annabelle up to the ceiling. It was very sweet, and to show everyone her. And I felt her calmly come out of me. She had no birth trauma. She is the happiest, calmest, sweetest baby. Everyone says this. She doesn't cry. She smiles. She giggles. And we sometimes forget she's in the room. She's so calm. And it's so different from my first, and I swear to God, it's because I was so calm during that pregnancy. So this work is so vital, not just for getting pregnant. This work has helped my relationship. My relationship is 10 times better. Are we the reason you're not getting pregnant? I sound like I'm on commission. Honest to God, ladies out there, I promise you I'm not. I spent a year thinking Roseanne was a complete scam artist. So I promise you I'm not. She is brilliant. And that's not just, it's made my whole family stronger. And we talk about the books that you've told me to read, because you get this wonderful tailored bespoke attention in the group. And those books have transformed my family. We use language like you being a victim, you being a creator. We use that kind of all that coaching that you've done on me, I've shared, and it's made everything better. It helps my 10-year-old at school. It helped me stand up to my boss who was not being that great, and I got a pay rise. I didn't get fired, I got a pay rise. These are such vital tools for life. And if there's one thing that I regret, and I don't have regrets, but if there is one thing I regret, is I wish I'd done your work first and then everything else. Because this is the work that should come first, not last, like I did it, because this helps you decide and advocate the right path for you. And if you don't do it first, you end up doing it at the very end, which is fine. It'll still work. But it would be so much more powerful if I'd done this the very first thing, when I was like, right, I'm going to be pregnant and this is what I'm going to do. It would be to do your program. So that will be my one regret. But I don't regret it because I have beautiful little Annabelle, who is some sort of gift from heaven, and that's what her name means. So that's why she's Annabelle.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating to me, and because I appreciate what you're saying, but at the same time, we need to make sure that you're taking the credit for being willing to take the leap, because it all starts with you. It all starts and ends with you. I mean, when I tell women that, they don't always believe me. I'm here as a facilitator, I'm here as a teacher, but it starts with you taking the leap, because you could have been afraid. You could have been in your money story. You could have been in your disaster story, or things don't work out for Lizzie's story, or things have to be hard for Lizzie's story. Like, you could have stayed in all of those stories, but you made a different choice. And because of the woman you were willing to become, because that's exactly what happened, you became the woman you wanted to be before you held that baby.
Yeah, I did. You're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you set a goal, and you think about how quickly you did that, Lizzie. You did that relatively quickly. You had probably spent a year and a half in misery.
Yep.
You do this 8-week program, and then boom.
Yeah. I know. It's crazy. It's true. Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane. And it's funny because people think I'm kidding when I say, I only work with women who are committed to getting and staying pregnant in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, that's probably, that's not possible. But it's like, wait a second. There's proof all around, because you're the one that's in control. You're not a victim. You're a creator, exactly as you said before. But I think that you, as the mother, Lizzie, also stepped into your feminine leadership.
Yeah.
And that's so beautiful, because it's one thing to be a ball buster at work, like there's a time and a place for that. But the softness that you're talking about, and the way that things changed in your family, and your willingness to receive from your partner, be the softer, not like weaker, but softer, more receptive version of you. I mean, this is why all of these beautiful things are happening. I mean, like, it never ceases to amaze me when women do this work and then they come back and they say, okay, I'm pregnant, I had my baby, I got a pay rise, or they'll talk about moving or wanting to write a book. And it's like, because you unleashed this part of yourself that was locked up for so long. So well done, Lizzie.
Well, thank you. And thank you to all of those ladies on your podcast. And this is why I'm doing it. I want to give back. I'm so grateful that eventually, after a year, I did take the leap, and don't waste that precious time. Just get on with it and do it, because it is such a gift. And you know what? I was happy with my life before I fell pregnant. I think that was a big breakthrough for me. And that's why I think that it happened. I think that really, really helps, and that's a gift, however it comes and however it happens, it's such a gift. But now my life is just, I can't tell you how happy I am. I wake up every morning to this little smiler beside me, and I just feel like a millionaire. I have never felt richer. And the universe is abundant. It's not this lack and scarcity that it felt. And that's amazing feeling. Amazing feeling. Yeah. And, my partner is 57. He has stage 4 cancer and chemotherapy. This was not easy. He was told that his sperm was so fragmented in his DNA, there was no way we'd have a normal baby, that he or she would be very sick, or B, we just wouldn't fall pregnant and we'd miscarry. And, those are hard things to hear, and it's very easy to get stuck in that. So, we've defied the medical odds. And when you're in your power and your feminine power, do you know what? It felt easy. It was so hard for so long. And then it was just natural. And we didn't have IVF. We conceived naturally. I had help with medication to suppress my immune system because I knew I needed it, because I knew that then. And I made the right decisions for my body and my baby. And we had a perfectly normal pregnancy and birth, which was wonderful.
Wow. Okay, because that's a detail I didn't quite catch. So you went to the fertility clinic and they had been telling you that there was no way, the only way was going to be IVF, donor eggs.
No. Yeah.
Because of your partner's sperm fragmentation and your history of miscarriage and your age.
Yeah.
But you conceive naturally.
Yep. With an egg, Roseanne, that started after the work. So, they start cooking, don't they? So I was doing with you that made a good egg. Like you say,
that
you
is
won.
Okay. All right. That's one for the record books, because at this point, because the stats were not in your favor, and frankly, they weren't in your partner's favor either with stage 4 cancer and chemo. You are holding a miracle baby today.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Lizzie, okay. So, with all of this, and thank you for being so generous in the way that you're sharing your experience, because most women, if they had the quote unquote problems and challenges you had, they probably would have given up. But you had the courage to believe in yourself, to believe in your body, to believe in this baby, to believe in your partner. It's funny. Like, if you're telling me that the first thing I said was you got to work on your faith, you had big faith, woman, to leap over all of those challenges. So what would you want the women listening to walk away with? Like, if you were going to share kind of this like parting wisdom, because as soon as we're done, tell me you're going to go hold that girl and you're going to have an amazing, evening with her. But like, what would you want the ladies listening to know based on everything that you went through? Like, what's the lesson you want to impart to them?
For me, it's about falling back in love with yourself, with your partner, with the universe. And I know that sounds really sentimental, like it should be on a Hallmark card, but it's true. And babies aren't made in hard hair shirts and be whipping yourself and suffering. They're made in love. And if you are hating your body and hating what it's doing, there's so much negativity and hate that just your body just can't. It just won't. It's impossible. That's not where the baby is. And also to not be ashamed for what you want. I just think it's so beautiful if you want a baby. There are so many people out there who don't even want to be parents who are. And that want that all your wonderful ladies feel, do you know what? That's going to make you the best parent. And that baby will be so lucky to have you, and it will make you so happy, and you will have joy threefold more than the normal people. So don't worry about the people that it comes easy to, that pop babies out like Smarties. Don't worry about them. Your experience when you do the right work with the right people and you get your head in the right place, your life will be infinitely more joyful and wonderful, and it'll all be worth it.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Lizzie. And so many blessings to you and your family. I think that your courage, your willingness to be better has completely changed your family tree. And it is a gift. Sincerely, it is a gift for me to work with women like you, because this is why I get out of bed in the morning and do the things that I do, is because it's for women like you who have the courage, who have the willingness to be better, so that they can have better, do better, give more. It's fantastic. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and so many blessings to your family. We're sending you so much love and so much gratitude.
Thank you, Roseanne. Likewise, and so many baby blessings to everyone listening. And thank you, Roseanne. I owe you so much.
It was my pleasure, doll. It's so good. It's worth it to see you so happy. So thank you for that.
Love this episode of the Fearlessly Fertile podcast? Subscribe now and leave an awesome review. Remember, the desire in your heart to be a mom is there because it was meant for you. When it comes to your dreams, keep saying hell yes.